What's up, you guys? So I hope you enjoyed my little harmonica song. I call it Three Pugs on the Roof, and it is my little opening to this amazing episode that I hope you guys will enjoy. Now I am in one of the most remote places in Texas and the United States. 800,000 acres, as a matter of fact. That is Mexico right over there, and I'm in the United States. Now, let me give you guys a little lay of the land right here. Here is the river ecosystem, so there's other little wetland animals and whatnot. Then there's mountains, as you can see, they're all over the place. And then there's going to be desert, which is everywhere in between, and that's most of Texas. What you can see here is a river called the Rio Grande. Now, the Rio Grande separates the U.S. from Mexico. So you can see it runs along, so everything over here is the United States of America. Everything over there is Mexico. So if I were to swim across, I'd be in Mexico, but that's a no-no without a passport. I saw a donkey up there, so that's pretty cool. And you can just see for miles and miles, you can even see that ridge back there, and this area is humongous, full of all sorts of animal species. So hopefully I will get to present them to you, and boy, have I experienced them quite a bit so far. But let me sit back down and keep talking to you guys. And hopefully I'll get to some fishing, but as you may know, the Rio Grande in this area is not very famous for big fish. There are lots of different species of fish. I think it's 40 different species of fish, yet most of them are minnow-sized. The few that are actually big are gar, blue cats, flathead cats, whatever's out there. I'm going to try and catch it, depending whether I'm going to go fly fishing or bait casting. I do not know yet, but that is what the future will tell. Let's go. Now, before we get too far, I would like to show you something that I've noticed hiking along these trails. I've seen about 5 or 6 of them just on my hike up to this little peak area. And you can see that there are these cool little trinket dudes. And what happens is people from Mexico will come over the border, so they'll cross over the river and they'll leave these little things. And these are cool, actually. They're really cool. And they're based off of like a yucca. But it's actually discouraged by the parks to leave donations because they don't want to encourage people running across the border back and forth, since it's you don't have citizenship. They don't really want you crossing back and forth, so let's keep moving. What's up, you guys? So I am standing next to the Rio Grande, and you may be able to see there are some peaks up there, those two over there, and the one on the left is the one that we were just upon. The deepest area in the area that I'm at right now is around 3.5 feet. So it's kind of in drought mode, but it does flow up pretty high when there's lots of rains. Man, I'm sinking in the mud. Even looking behind me, there's some brush, thick, tall plants. Over here, there's thick, tall trees, as opposed to the desert ecosystem, which I was at when I was hiking in between the mountain and the river ecosystem, where there were cactus, yucca, succulent type plants. A lot of them were very pokey, but this is more a friendly type tree plant area. But I'm gonna keep moving, see what else I can come across. So come on. So I have been hiking for a while now, and I've come to a cool little spot. So as you can see, there is one species of cactus right there. There's another one right there. Here's the same species. There's another another species of cactus. There's lots of cactus. There's like a yucca over there. All these different types of succulents, because succulents are desert plants, and the reason they're called succulents is because their flesh is very succulent. It's full of water. As you can tell, it's very thick compared to a normal plant with like normal leaves. You can see holding lots of water because they live in a desert environment. Ooh, here's a cool cactus over here. This one's a big fatty. But now to the reason that I'm showing all these types of cactus, there's another one, to you, is because here is a little ecosystem change. So I am in the desert ecosystem right now. You can see all these spiny succulent cactus type things, and then we get to the riparian ecosystem, the river ecosystem, where there's water is plentiful. They do not need to be succulent or have spines because they grow. If something bites off of them, they don't lose much. They can just grow it back, so there's no need for spikes. If they lose water, they can just get it right out of the river. They don't need to hold it like a succulent does. So very leafy bushes. You can see thick, tall, unlike a cactus where it's short and not very tall or leafy at all. You don't want to go climbing up in a cactus. So cool little tidbit. It's the border between the US and Mexico, but it's also the border between riparian and desert ecosystem. So very cool. Oh, and here is the prickly pear, which you have probably seen in lots of my other episodes. Right over there, see that purple thing? And that happens to be the javelina's favorite snack. I've noticed that there are a lot less prickly pears here than somewhere, say, in a different part of Texas where there aren't javelinas. So maybe we can keep an eye out and spot one of those cool little dudes. But yeah, just cool little tidbit, and I'm gonna keep hiking. So let's move. Okay, you guys, so I am filming this little school of fish right here, and there were a lot more. I'm not quite sure what type. It looks like some type of sunfish. I know I have not seen this type before. From the looks of above, it looks like a new fish to me. But you can see they're sitting in a school, and there were about 500 in the corner over there, but I scared them on accident. The reason they're schooling like that, my guess, is because it's a form of defense. If whatever's trying to get them comes up behind, one of the fish will see, so he can do a warning or attack or whatever fish do, depending on the predator, if they think they can take him on. Okay guys, so I have made it down to the water. I am on the Rio Grande River still, and you can see that it is a flowing area, and it's pretty wide and pretty deep. I can't see the bottom in most spots, and it's cool because if you look up here, it's kind of like a little canyon area, and it's like the Grand Canyon, how that river, the Colorado River, has eroded all the way down to make that huge canyon. This is like the Grand Canyon and still in the making, but you can see where it has eroded away at the rocks. And it's a real cool little thing, probably full of minerals because of all the stones and whatnot. But I'm gonna try fishing, and I've got my open face rod and a fly rod. I'm probably gonna stick to the fly rod a little more since the fish tend to be smaller, but hopefully we can pull the fish out for you and present it. And yeah, so let's try our luck, you guys. And it's actually warming up pretty nice. It was a bit chilly this morning, but we're all good, and hopefully we'll see some wildlife come down to drink as it is about to become dusk. So I've been hiking for quite some time now, and this area is just packed with history, and there's all sorts of cool stuff. I'm going to show you in a little bit, but first take a look at this rock, and you can see how it comes out in layers easily. You can break it into little slabs, so that would be a very good note if you were to build something when you had a lack of resources. And I am stepping inside of a building now, which was made with that type of stone. You can see on the outside, it is that color and made out of slabs that has been cemented together. And it's really cool. You can see there's some old-fashioned heating, or heating that I use nearly every day when I am out camping. And the roof has collapsed in. There's the old window frames. There's stuff like this all over the place, old buildings. There's lots of Native American history, old settlers history. And when I had walked in for the first time, I noticed that it kind of looked like a little fossil dude right here, because there are lots of fossils here. Considering 280 million years ago, this place was underwater. But, yeah, cool little thing to keep an eye out for. For this style fishing, I will be using a bamboo rod, aka a cane pole, and I am on the Rio Grande River once again, so Mexico is right over there. With this type of fishing, I will be using a fly, so you can see that it is a little wet fly. And I'll also be putting a little fly fishing bobber on in order to keep it afloat and as a little signal. One cool thing about this cane pole is it attaches these two sides, the bamboo, and it actually extends to about 8 or 9 feet once it's all attached. And this type of fishing is meant for smaller fish, which is good because the Rio Grande has lots of small fish to offer. Well, not actually lots, it's pretty limited on fishies, but most of them are small fish, so that is good. One advantage to this type of fishing is if you were to go on a hike and it was a long hike and you didn't want to have to carry a tackle box, and you didn't want to have to carry a rod with a reel that would smack on stuff because it was too long. This, since it comes in 2 pieces, it's easy because you can just attach and detach it. And a little thingamabobber is in there. Here it is. It is bright pink, so I'll be able to see it when it is floating around, and I'm going to put it on the heavier line just so it can go a bit deeper and it will not mess up the tippet as much. And this is kind of just like setting up a fly line. You use the sturgeon knot to attach the two types of line together. Pop this through, and we are good to go. So let's give it a try and test our luck in the river that separates Texas from Mexico. Okay, you guys, so I've just hiked back up to this peak, and it is really starting to get nice out. It's a beautiful sunset in Texas, but I thought I'd just give you guys a lay of the land real quick, show you where I am. So you hop over here. So right now I am right here, right by this little bend, and the Rio Grande is right there, so you can see the river is the blue part. There's Mexico and there's us. And I am about to start making my way more inland in a few days, farther away from Mexico into the heart of the park area. So it is getting dark, and it's the golden hour for spotting critters, and this place is a wonderful place to spot critters. So let's go give it a go. Okay, you guys, so I'm out here tonight, and it is a bit chilly, and it's a full moon out, so I can't really see any stars, but here I can see some yellow eyes reflecting, and it is one of Ruby's relatives, so you can see here is a cute little bunny rabbit. And see how close I can, oh, there he goes, hopping away. You can see his tail still over there, looks like a cottontail. But yeah, cool little sighting, and just keep your eye out. And what's really cool about having flashlights is you'll be able to pick up on the eyes like the trackers do and just see their reflection. Sometimes you can tell which type of animal it is by the color of the reflection on the eyes. So I am now on top of a little mountainy area, and you guys can probably very easily tell that it is very windy. Wind a lot of the time brings a drastic change in temperature, which can be very good or very bad. Now in this case, it's probably not going to be so good. A few days before I got here, there was lots of ice on the road, so people had trouble transporting themselves and goods and whatnot. So there was a shortage in gas, no power whatsoever, power lines were down, people were stuck in areas. And that is what's expected to happen once again as I head a little more higher up into the mountainous areas. top of a mountainous area. I just wanted to show you this really cool little thing. You can see back here along this ridge how there's clouds kind of waterfalling over it. And they're so dense that they can't really rise up too much. So once they hit the mountain, they just kind of gotta go up and over. And once they hit the top of the mountain, they come along and their density pulls them back down. So that's why it looks like a waterfall when they come along to the edge. But I'm gonna start moving down as it is pretty windy right now. So talk to you guys in a bit. Okay, you guys, so one really cool thing, as I have mentioned a few times, there's a lot of history, but what about prehistory, like prehistoric times? Well, 280 million years ago, this area right here, as well as a large portion of Texas, was underwater. And you can see a lot of those signs through fossils. Now, fossils are a very cool little thing. I have actually come across a few right here that I'm going to show you. And the first one up is oysters. Now, there are lots of ancient little oysters. You can see here are a few. So you can kind of get the gist of it, the little shape. You can see it's curvy right there. It's kind of filled in with rock right there. Some more little oysters, and there's lots of these little guys around here. And if you look at this rock right here, you can see some oysters that are encrusted in it. So real cool little dudes right there. And another cool little thing is there's quite a few of those little cast fossils where at one point there was a little shell or whatever, and then it's disappeared through erosion and it left a little shape. So you can see here's one little clamshell shape, and here's another one. You can see all the little lines, all the little details, all sorts of things. You just got to look close at these kinds of rocks, and got to use your imagination sometimes, because creatures a long time ago don't exactly look like the ones that we have today. Now, if you move a little forward in time, here is a little descendant of the sea snail. You can see here it's a cool little shell that was sitting over here and it's been bleached from the sun, so it is pretty old. And yeah, it was sitting right over by these fossils. So you do not want to disturb the fossils or historic things like Native American paintings or whatever, so that it can be preserved for people in the future to come across and see these cool little things. So I'm going to leave these dudes right where I found them, but a few other fossils that have been found by like the rangers or whoever when they were exploring here are dinosaur bones, there's dinosaur teeth, and even shark teeth if you look close enough. So if I come across one of those guys, I'll show you. Yeah, just keep an eye out and be observant of your little areas. So I'm gonna keep moving. Okay guys, so after that pretty wild and windy night, oh my goodness, it was, the wind was actually cocked up to 51 miles per hour, and we also got a little bit of ice falling out of the sky and some rain, and boy, the tent was wet trying to move it, but luckily we have found some nicer weather. The weather is broken as we moved more upwards into the heart of the park. We are now in the Chisos Mountains. We are now in a basin type area, so these are the Chisos Mountains around us. There's a cool little rock formation, a few little rock formations that I'm going to show you around here. The animals that are in this area include deer I've already seen. There's supposed to be roadrunners up here, lots of different types of birds, also some javelinas, and then some more predator animals, I guess you could say, including bears and mountain lions. Those guys can cause trouble if you run into each other and frighten one another. This little area right here is called the window, and that's because since we are in a basin, we're surrounded by mountains except for this little area. So you get a little peek at the outside world, which is pretty cool. But yeah, it's a great day. It's still a bit chilly like it was further down, but luckily we have hopped out of the wind as we are surrounded, so it's pretty well protected. But one of the biggest rock formations is right up here, and I will show you, and it is called Casa Grande, which in Spanish means basically big house. So you can see up there, it's a square, rectangular looking formation, but that is Casa Grande because it looks like a big house made of rock. And it's got some lichen on it, as you probably could see. And as I hike down this trail, I'm going to tell you a little bit about safety with mountain lions. Now, mountain lions are also known as pumas and what's not, but they are big cats with sharp claws and sharp teeth. They don't typically hunt humans as food, but every once in a while you'll run into one and something goes wrong to where you may get injured. Now, mountain lion sightings are pretty rare. There's about 24 mountain lions in the park at the moment, and there's on average 130 or so sightings within the park per year, so 130 people will see a mountain lion. But every once in a while when you're on a backcountry trail hiking around, and you can run into these guys because this is their home, this is where they live and hunt. They are pretty territorial animals, so they will stay away from other mountain lions. But if you are in the range, every once in a while, you know, you're bound to run into one. And if you are, it's advised that you are hiking with other people in order to appear as a harder prey to eat. So if he wanted to attack you or eat you or whatever, it's better to be in groups of people, as you can get around others and kind of yell and throw stuff and act as big as you can, and don't be afraid, because otherwise he's going to be like, oh, well, this guy's cowering over here, how about I just go check it out and maybe I can grab a quick snack. So what you don't want to do is crouch down and hide or run away, because then if you're running, the mountain lion's right behind you, he's going to be faster than you. So that's not a position that you want to get into. So remember, if you're out by yourself, maybe unzip your jacket if you have one. Just try and make yourself look bigger, kind of like with the king cobra, how it flares up the sides of its face to appear bigger, or with some lizards, how they do that. That's what you kind of want to do. So appear as large as you can, yell, throw rocks, and all sorts of stuff at it. You can't be afraid to hurt the lion if it is posing a threat to you. So you got to fight back if it does go and attack you. But then again, respect nature, so don't go hunting the mountain lions just so you can throw rocks at it. Just be careful and be aware of your surroundings, and for the most part, you'll be pretty safe. Oh, and another thing with bears in the area, you want to use the bear boxes, and kind of talked about bear safety before with black bears and grizzly bears, the difference between the two. But in this area, for the most part, it's black bears, so those guys are a bit easier to deal with. They aren't as big and ferocious, but they still can pose a threat, so make sure to use the bear boxes. You don't want to use food to attract them. Don't feed the animals. Make sure to just be aware of your surroundings, as you always should be when you're out in the wilderness. And another thing that may be more of a nuisance is javelinas. So if you have food in your tent, javelinas will also go into your tent, and they'll stop at nothing to get that granola bar crumb that is sitting next to your pillow. So just make sure to be clean inside your tent so you don't have food and stuff everywhere. But now that we have covered safety wise, here is the window right here. You can see it. And yeah, so there's the cool little Jesus Mountains, and we will keep hiking and see what else we can find. So along the trail, there's lots of different types of plants, and there's a really cool one right here that I am excited to show you guys. Now what this is called a century plant. You can see the stalk goes all the way up. Now this one's pretty darn old, as you can see from the leaves, and the stalk is all brown and kind of eroding away. But if you look up front, a cool little thing that you can see is a hole. Now, I suspect that that hole is a woodpecker hole. So he was going around looking for bugs and made that big hole right there. But it's a really cool thing. Would have been really awesome to see that bloom, because that's a pretty rare thing. Unless you've got like 100 of them in your yard, then the chances are you'll see one at least every couple of years. Now, if you look right behind me here, you will see, oh look, there's a deer up there walking around. It's always fun to see those cool little deer strutting their stuff all around, because even up in this area, they're much different from where I typically see them in central Texas. But you could see a few of them have antlers right now, and those are the male ones. But one cool thing that I want to show you guys back here is, here is Casa Grande, so the big house, the big rock house. But you can see about halfway down the mountain, there is a white and black little layery area. So you can see it's like gray, white, and that is little remnants from volcanic activity. Now, people a while back thought that since this area is like a little basin, like, you know, I'm surrounded by rocks, all these mountains, they thought this was the caldera or the blowout of a past volcano, a giant volcano, which is to be expected. Like, you see this little area and there's volcanic activity. Well, where'd it come from? Probably the deepest little part. But actually, all these little mountains, all these little peaks, a lot of them are dormant volcanoes. So at one point in time, they were active, but they no longer will explode, which is good for me, because all the lava would flow down into my tent, and the tent isn't very lava proof. It may be waterproof, but I don't think that brand is good enough to keep out molten lava. So yeah, that's a cool little thing. And since I am in the mountain region, the mountain ecosystem, it is the third ecosystem. So I finally arrived. I went to the river ecosystem, the desert ecosystem, and now way up high, I'm in the mountain ecosystem. Really cool little area, and I'm gonna keep hiking as the sun is going down and see what else we can find. So here, there is right now a restriction on ground fires, so I can't make wood fires or ground fires, and in order for me to cook things such as Spam, chicken breast, steaks, whatever I want to cook, hot dogs, I will just need to make a charcoal grill or a charcoal fire in order to replace that. Now, a lot of the time when you make a charcoal fire, it takes a while to get lit up, and it's a bit difficult, especially in the wind, so I have come across a little method that helps, and what I'm gonna do is start building a pyramid. So I've got the little platform, and it's kind of like making little building blocks, sticking them together, making sure they stay steady, but I'm not really looking to be artsy with it. So I've got one layer down. As long as you have a pit in the middle towards the end, and you are clear to light. And what this does is it protects your fire from the wind. It also has kind of like a fiery little heart in the middle where it warms everything around instead of covering an entire little, covering all this little area in lighter fluid and hoping that it spreads and doesn't go out. This kind of warms everything at once, as well as keeping it protected, and it's kind of like a little center zone. Now it gets kind of difficult towards the end in balance wise. And one more, and this one tends to be the one that knocks everything down. It's the very last one for some reason. Okay, but not too much. And then get this away from the fire so that bad things don't happen. And get one match, strike it, and watch it spread. And there you go, it's all finished off. here behind me you can see the window once again, but now it is a bit of a different view as it is the next day from yesterday when I showed you the window last time. Now these clouds are also bringing with them later on rain and snow and ice and all sorts of cold annoying stuff. But right now it's a pretty cool sight as it isn't very cold, it's still pretty cold. Yeah, there it is floating around. It's kind of like watching a little time lapse how the clouds move. And it's going to get colder and snowier, but I'll keep you guys updated. So, hiking along this trail, I've always seen these types of plants. Now, I never knew what they were. As a little kid, I call them like wheat or something because, you know, it looks like wheat. But actually, they have quite a memorable name. So once you hear this name, you will not forget it. This little plant that looks like a caterpillar slash wheat is called hairy grama. Now, I'm not exactly sure if it is pronounced that way, but it sure is spelled that way, hairy grama, because it's a pretty humorous type thing when you see some hairy grama. And another cool little thing that I've noticed is on this cacti over here, as I've seen on a few cacti, there is a bird that has used its surroundings to its advantage. You can see here, oops, sorry you guys, went upside down. Here is a bird's nest. So you can see the entrance is right over here, and he climbs up. Oh, there's actually a little birdie up inside right now, so I'm not going to disturb him too much. But he climbs up inside there, and he is surrounded by all this cactus, since that's what he put his nest on. So he is very safe. If a predator were to come, they'd hit the cactus. Anything bigger than him really can't land on that, because that's what he does. And who knows, maybe he even uses it when he catches bugs, stick them on the spike like some birds do, and then that kills the bugs. And even when it's sunny out, it might roast them if it were like a little rodent or something. But real cool little adaptation that guy has taken to his advantage. So good job, smart little bird up in there. Now, I'm gonna keep moving. Okay, guys, so the temperature has dropped remarkably since the last time I talked to you. As you can see, I have bundled up quite a bit, and I'm kind of excited to show you guys what comes, because maybe we'll get some snow in Texas. These spikes are deadly, my goodness, like I can't even break that. That is a really solid spike. That would go right through my glove. That would go right through my head if I fell on it, which would not feel good. Here's a comparison with me. And here's another cool little thing. This is just one clear observation of how these succulents will collect water to make such succulent flesh. Is they all have a little ramp going inwards, so even if the rain's way out here, it catches it, tosses it in, and falls down by the root. And I got it. Here is the center, and look at that. That's so sturdy. Like, my gosh, if something were to fall on that, I can't even move that very much. That's so thick right in the middle. But that's one powerful plant. And I have a feeling I ripped one of my little pieces of apparel. So, I've hiked up to a little peak now, and you can see behind me that the clouds are moving in, and you can really tell that a storm is on its way. It's dropped about 10 or 15 degrees now. And the clouds are really rolling in right on top of me. So if you were a bit farther away, the visual aspect of everything would get a bit more difficult. But the wind's also picked up a bit, so the front is moving in, and it is going to be a cold one. But I'm going to keep moving and kind of get my little area that I am dwelling at the moment ready for what's to come. Well, that was a pleasant night's sleep. It is a beautiful yet chilly morning up in the Chisos Mountains, and as you guys could probably tell, there was a bit of ice that fell last night, and boy does it make for a beautiful sight. Look at that. So all these plants around here are glistening because the sun's coming through and reflecting all over the little pieces of ice. And if you look closely at all these plants, like look, that's covered in ice. If you snap it, look, it's ice, it just breaks. And it's really cool. It really makes for a beautiful sight. You can see it's kind of starting to melt, but there is Casa Grande peeking through the clouds because the winter storm is over and now it's time for nice sunny times. And it was a very cool experience to be so far south yet go through an ice storm. The tent was just caked in ice. It was like trying to break out of an igloo this morning. And one really cool thing that you don't get to see very often is look at these cacti. They're caked with ice. Like these spines are safe to touch because they're all ice. There is a hair-thin spider web right here that you don't even notice during the day, yet it's super visible right now. And that is because the ice caked the spider web. And it looks almost like silly string, but it's so amazing because it reflects all this stuff. Now, you kind of got to feel bad for the spider because as of today, he won't be catching any bugs. But the cool part is that if he did catch any bugs the night before, he will have some bug sickles this morning. Look at these branches, like everything is reflecting, everything is flamboyant, and everything is awesome. Oh, and here's some frozen hairy grandma. Okay, you guys, so check out this awesome view behind me. There's clouds around here because the clouds are finally lowered and the sun is peeking through the Chisos Mountains. That is the window over there that we saw earlier. And boy, it's a beautiful night. But I do have my ticket out of here, so let's just look back. We saw roadrunners, we saw gold-fronted woodpeckers, we saw a coyote, we saw deer, we saw all sorts of different animals. There was a ton of different types of plants. I love seeing all these different succulents, like the cacti and the yucca. And man, we went through all different types of weather. We went through nice, sunny, happy hikes on the river to stormy, icy, windy, cold, awesome, still wild stuff. And we actually made it through all three of the little ecosystems. We went through the river ecosystem, the mountain ecosystem, and the desert ecosystem. So we covered it all and saw all that we could see. And you guys, it's been a while, and this is one of the most amazing places that I've been to in Texas. And when you picture Texas, you picture like cowboys and desert. You don't picture something like this. I mean, look at this view. It's beautiful. So that's the amazing thing about Texas, is when you get out and explore, you never know what you're gonna find. So until next time, you guys, stay wild! What's up, you guys? I'm gonna do that again, I drooled. I'm not jumping there anymore.